The forgotten signal. The stars stretched into streaks of light as the Ecliptica, an aging exploration vessel, entered the orbit of a distant, uncharted star system. Captain Mira Ardent leaned against the command console, her sharp gaze fixed on the holographic display. A deep sense of anticipation had settled over the crew ever since they'd intercepted the enigmatic transmission days ago. "We've pinpointed its source," Rook said, Mira's linguistics officer. "It's coming from the fourth moon of the red giant." He swiped his hand across the console, zooming in on the moon in question. Its surface was marred with jagged ridges and craters, illuminated by the eerie crimson glow of the dying star it orbited. "Can we translate the message yet?" Mira asked. "Not entirely. The syntax is fluid, shifting constantly. But it doesn't appear hostile," Rook replied, his fingers dancing across the interface. "It feels like a warning or perhaps a story." "Set a course for the moon," Mira ordered. "If it's a distress signal, we need to find out who, or what, sent it." The Ecliptica touched down on the barren moon with a shudder. Outside, the landscape was a desolate expanse of black rock and crimson shadows. The transmission they'd been chasing pulsed louder now, resonating through the ship's hull and into their very bones. Mira, clad in her pressurized suit, led her crew out onto the surface. Each step crunched against the cracked ground. In the distance, the ruins came into view, towering spires that defied the otherwise lifeless terrain. Their surfaces shimmered with an otherworldly glow, etched with intricate symbols that seemed to shift when viewed too long. "This place, it's ancient," whispered Vren, the ship's navigator, her voice tinged with awe. "Stay focused," Mira said. "Rook, is the transmission coming from those structures?" "Yes," Rook replied, scanning the area with a handheld device. "It's strongest at the central spire." They pressed on, weaving through the forest of crumbling towers. Mira couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The shadows cast by the spires seemed to twist unnaturally, their movements subtle yet deliberate. As they approached the central structure, the symbols on its surface lit up, responding to their presence. Mira stepped forward, placing her gloved hand against the cold, shimmering stone. The ground rumbled. A low hum filled the air. "What did you do?" Vren asked, panicking. "I don't know," Mira admitted, backing away as the spire emitted a beam of light into the crimson sky. The beam of light wasn't a simple flare, it was a key. As it faded, a massive doorway materialized at the base of the spire, previously invisible. Without hesitation, Mira signaled her crew to follow as they entered the darkened passage. The interior was unlike anything they had seen before. The walls were adorned with glowing runes, their shifting patterns casting a hypnotic dance of light and shadow. At the center of the chamber stood a massive console, its surface rippling like liquid metal. "This is it," Rook said, approaching the console. The transmission resonated louder now, its pulses syncing with the flickering runes. "This is the origin point. What does it say?" Mira asked, stepping closer. Rook placed his hand over the console, and a flood of images filled the room. The crew staggered back as their minds were invaded by visions. A race of beings unlike anything they'd imagined, tall, luminous forms of light and energy, thrived in a golden era of technological and spiritual enlightenment. Their cities floated in the skies of their homeworld, sustained by limitless energy drawn from their star. But their star began to dim. Desperation set in. They poured their brilliance into finding a solution, a way to reignite their star, but their efforts only hastened its demise. In their final days, they created these monuments as a repository of their knowledge, a warning to any who might follow. "Don't repeat our mistakes," the message intoned, the first coherent words they'd heard from the transmission. Suddenly, the chamber shook violently. The runes on the walls flared, and the hum of the transmission turned into a deafening roar. "What's happening?" Vren shouted. "This place is collapsing," Mira yelled. "We have to move." As they raced back toward the entrance, the moon seemed to come alive. The ground heaved, and the shadows deepened, coalescing into a massive, sentient form. It loomed over them, a being of pure darkness etched with the same flickering runes that adorned the ruins. "It's a guardian," Rook said, panic evident in his voice. "It's protecting what's left of this place." Mira fired her plasma pistol at the creature, but the blasts dissipated against its shifting form. "Split up. Draw its attention away from the ship." The crew scattered, their suits' thrusters igniting as they darted across the broken landscape. Mira led the guardian away, her heart pounding as it pursued her relentlessly. The runes on its surface shifted, almost as if it was trying to communicate. "You're protecting their legacy," Mira muttered under her breath. "I get it, but we mean no harm." She reached the Ecliptica just as the guardian unleashed a burst of energy that shattered the ground beneath her feet. She barely managed to scramble up the ship's ramp, slamming the hatch behind her. "Take off now," she ordered the pilot. The engines roared to life, and the ship ascended just as the moon's surface collapsed in on itself. From orbit, the crew watched as the ruins were swallowed by darkness, the transmissions silenced forever. Back on the bridge, Mira stared at the silent console, her mind replaying the images they'd seen. "That message cost us nearly everything," Vren said quietly, nursing an injured arm. "But it also saved us," Mira replied. "It's a reminder of their mistakes, of what we could become if we don't tread carefully." The crew nodded in solemn agreement. They had uncovered the forgotten signal and its dire warning, but some truths were better left buried among the stars. With a heavy heart, Mira ordered the ship to set a course for home. In the vast emptiness of space, she couldn't shake the feeling that their journey was far from over, and that the beings who'd sent the message might still be watching. End.